So I have a bit of an update on this container office here. I'm getting ready to install this window. I'll put this as part of a more coherent video coming up on this container. My office is coming together. My desk is gonna be right there. There's gonna be a countertop right here, right below the window. Then there's going to be cabinets kind of built into the void between the studs here, and that's where I'm going to put my solar energy system that's going to power my 2 receptacles and my lights. Anyway, I'll show you how to install an exterior window, or I should say a new construction window. They're different than replacement windows. I'll have a video later coming on replacing a replacement window, but right now I'll show you how to install a new construction window. So the window I have here is an American Craftsman. You can see it has the nailing flange around the edge with the holes. I have some framing nails here. I'll just nail it by hand. Probably don't need something this long. These are 3 1/4, I think. But we're going through the plywood, through the insulation, and into our studs. Again, I framed it out with 2x3s instead of 2x4s because I wanted to save space. Anyway. So these nails, as you can see, going through the nailing flange, they'll bite in plenty into the stud. All right, I have the window in. I did check it for opening and shutting properly, and it works as it should. It opens perfectly. It stays open when you open it. It doesn't fall shut. The gaps are all proper around the edge. I did not have the camera rolling while I was nailing because I figured if you're getting this adventurous that you want to try hanging your own new construction windows, you probably don't need instruction on how to pound a nail. So the next step is to flash the window so that rain can't get in there. And I'll show you some things here. It's getting a little dark this evening, but in the gap around the window, that should get spray foamed or something. My framing wasn't perfect, so my gap's not exactly the same the whole way around the window. But anyway, that should get spray foamed so that air doesn't blow through. And it needs flashing tape, which you can buy this at Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. I'm not using the Zip System plywood, but I'm using the Zip System flashing tape. And when you're flashing a window, you always start at the bottom, and I'll show you why in a minute. So as I was saying, you always start from the bottom for good reason. Because water, if it runs on here, if it does get behind the siding or whatever you put on here, it's going to be running down. And if you start just like this, water can still run down in behind this tape. But if your next strip here, if your next strip is going over top, if water gets on here, it rolls down and it'll just continue rolling. It will never get behind. Whereas if you would start with the top and then, so if you would do your side first, and then your bottom, if water runs down the side, it could still possibly get behind the top. Now, if I do the side here, like this, and I'll take care of rolling this on later. It should be rolled so that it sticks as well as it can. Now, once this gets rolled on here, if water rolls down, there's no chance it's possibly gonna get behind this and rot out the lower section of your wall. It's just gonna run right down, and it'll run down, but at least it at least won't get behind the flashing tape, and it won't allow water to get in behind your window. All right, so I have both sides flashed. So again, the same thing. I don't know if you can come in just a little bit with the camera so you can see. If we start again like this, now the water, if it ever gets behind here, which it shouldn't because there's gonna be some sort of crown on here, but if the water would ever get behind here, it's gonna run out over this and just down along the zip tape. It's gonna run over the bottom section of zip tape, and it'll just run down the inside of the wall. It's never gonna get behind, and at worst, if you do get water damage, you have to replace the sheeting, but the studs should still be protected, whereas if you did this from the reverse, where this was over top, if it runs down behind, then it can get in and it can rot your studs. You can have all kinds of other problems. So always start from like it's the same with shingles or siding. You always start from the bottom and work your way up. Same thing with this flashing tape. Start at the bottom, then your sides, then the top. All right, and here's a picture once the window and the door were installed. I was running out of daylight, so I did not video the installation of the door. It did give me quite a bit of trouble. Apparently my framing was not quite as true and as straight as I thought it was, but that gives you an idea of how to install a window.